Hi YouTube, it's ACDodd here again. Welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning, and this time we've got something special for you. It's a load of coach-built Radfords and a wooden picket. Let's check it out. Okay, so this is Tony, and Tony's the person that's owned these three cars. So we kind of filmed this out of sequence, but effectively, why did you call me down here, Tony?
To tune them up, get them breathed on properly and all working as best as they can be.
Okay, so interesting bunch of cars, this one, all being, well, there was three Radfords and a wooden picket. So fantastic cars and beautiful condition, so well done to keep them like that.
Yeah, they are a bit of a challenge, but there you go.
Okay, all right. Well, let's dig in and then we'll see what we can do to them.
Okay.
So, first car today down in Bournemouth, and we've got a beautiful original Radford. Look at this fantastic car. Wonderful conversion inside, even complete with the original Philips record player. Awesome. So, and under the bonnet, what makes it even more special, we've got an original Downton tuned engine. So, 20" carbs, and I've been called out. We're running a bit rich, so let's see what we can do. Okay, so the reason why I was called in is on this one's because it was running very rich and it was suiting up plugs. Now, they were brand new in just a couple of weeks ago. As we can see, those plugs are absolutely soot black. So, going over to the engine, what was causing that? Well, effectively, the problem was these twin carbs. Now, they've had a sort of a partial refresh. So somebody's put a new spindles in and new jets, etc. But what hasn't happened is somebody hasn't set them up again afterwards. So basically what was happening was the pistons were getting stuck on the jets because somebody hadn't centered them up properly, which I've now had to do. So the pistons sit all the way down, which now means I can get the jets up far enough to lean the mix out. The other thing is the butterflies have not been set properly, so they're not closing off to bring the idle down. The linkage is seized, so I can't adjust the fast idles and things like that because all the screws are seized. I've managed to get the linkages in sync because they were out of sync as well. So this is one of the classic reasons why I don't normally say if you've got twin carbs, don't call me out unless they're rebuilt, because you can't actually get everything working if everything's seized. In this case, we've also got a problem on the right hand carburettor of the choke linkage not pulling the jet up fully. So I think I've got enough of a tweak on it to make it work for today, but I'm going to tell the customer that probably over the winter or something like that, have these carbs off and have them fully rebuilt to get the best out of them. In terms of the ignition system, obviously a new set of plugs. There were 6 resistors in there, so we changed them to BP6Es. We had leads with a combination of 12k between the coil and the plug, so I've now reduced that down to about 3. So obviously the engine, I've already run the engine, she runs a lot better. So I'm now going to do the timing by the keyhole on the end, and then I can start looking at the carbs and see where we are. Right, so fielding on this one, we've got 2 AH2 needles fitted, and that is massively rich at part throttle. I mean, we're 0.78 at 0.78 at 2000 RPM, so way too much fuel. So what I'm going to do now is change to some CF needles and hopefully bring that back into touch. Okay, so we've got this little Radford running nicely. So CF needles, extensive modifications at part throttle, a little bit at the top end as well to get a little bit more fueling in, but she's good now. So as ever, it's now time to send the owner out for a test drive. Okay, Radford number 2. This is another beautiful example. Love the colour. Fantastic car. Look at that inside. She's absolutely beautiful. Dash. Fantastic. So coming round to the front of the vehicle, to the business end, we have a Cooper 998 engine, which I'm told is also a Downton. So let's dig into this one and see what we can find. Right, so digging in, what do we find? It's got new plugs in it, which are the correct grade. It's a tuned engine, so it's got 60s on this one, so I think I'm going to leave it in there. Leave it with those, but they're all gap wrong, so I've pulled them out and gapped them down to 25. This one's running copper leads, so I'm going to leave them in for now unless it causes a problem. And obviously it's all standard points type. So ignition wise, we had just under 50 degrees of dwell, so I've reduced the points gap, and then we only had about 3 degrees of advance, so we've now got about 12 to 13, which is where this advance curve will give us the full 30 degrees, which is I think we're going to need for full power. So engine already responds better now where that is. In terms of everything else, we've got a 3 ohm coil, which is great. Now we're going to turn our attention to the twin carbs. I've already taken 4 flats off the mixture on each one, which was basically sooting the plugs up. So we're now going to try and dial these in and see what they're actually like. Okay, so you can see I've got the air filters off. This one's got a few issues with the carbs. Again, a little bit worn, so I've had to do the best fit I can around the worn carbs. Air filters are still off at the moment, but it had a pair of GY needles in which were a bit lean, so I've actually put a pair of M's in it, and it's pretty good. So in terms of what the real issue with this was, obviously a little bit lean on the needles. The carbs were out of balance. The pickups weren't too bad on the carbs. But we were about 10 degrees shy retarded on the ignition timing, and our points gap was too big. So adjusted all that lot, and she's happy. So this one's ready for a test drive. Car number 3, and yes, it is another Radford DeVille this time. Another beautiful car. Awesome interior, switches, electric windows, lovely. Look at that. And this one, it's also got the open top. Beautiful car. So, coming round the front, what have we got under this bonnet? Well, this time we've got twin HS4 SUs and yet another Downton modified engine. So let's dig into this one and see what we can find. Okay, so I'm working my way through this one. As you can see, I've got a new set of leads out. The reason for that is the old set of leads, which were copper cores with non-suppressed caps, had gone hard, and I always get suspicion when the leads go hard that we've got a problem. And sure enough, when I took it off and I measured the resistance of the King lead, we was actually up in the meg ohms of resistance. So effectively, I've junked those, and we're going to put a new set of leads on, new set of green power sparks, and we'll put those on, and that should rectify that and make the engine run a little bit better. Okay, so we're moving on with this one now. I'm just dialing the carburetors in. We've got a couple of little issues. One of which is the where this has been manufactured on the inside of the piston. It's very rough, and I can't fit a new damper in here because this one's rising too fast. Right, even with the thickest oil. So what I've had to do, because of the badly machined dash pot, I've had to make the other one match it, which means this one's going to be a little bit probably a little bit lean on acceleration. But the only cure for this is to replace that whole piston assembly. Obviously I can't do that today, so what I am going to do is try and get the best fit in terms of making this drive well. Now, the needles that were in it were a pair of AAKs, so they were great up until 4,000 revs and at 2,000 revs. At 2,000 revs, they was way too rich, and they were way too lean at 4,000 revs. So I've changed to a pair of AAEs. That's cured the fueling, so it's a nice fueling curve at 2,000 all the way up to 4,000, and now we're still going lean. So I'm going to modify these now, and then we're good to go. Okay, so we finally finished this one. The twin HS4s took quite a bit of work in the end. I had a pair of AAE needles that needed some extensive part throttle modifications to get it right, but I ended up with a nice solid fuel curve all the way through the rev range. So the owner's now going to go out and give it a test drive and see what he thinks. So, last car today, what have we got here? We've got a 70s wooden picket, a Margrave, based on a Clubman. So, very much in the style of Bradford's, but obviously wooden picket of London. Very nice interior. See what we got under the bonnet. So, a bit different this time. We've got a single carburettor, and we've got an Avon engine. So the original's long since gone. This is a replacement, which I think is about 40 years old. So this one itself has been in here a while. So what I need to do now is to dig in and see what's what. Okay, so I've had a good look through this one, and I quickly found out we've got quite high resistance leads. So we had about 16k between the coil and the plug, so I've changed those. I also put in a new set of BP6 spark plugs, because that was what was already in it. They seem to be running fine, but obviously just very rich. Anyway, which then leads me on to carburettor. So interestingly, very rich. So we had just about right setting at idle, and then it was 0.8 to 0.85 all the way across till from 2,000 to 3,000, and then we went very lean at 3,000, and then we went back to rich at 3.5, and then we went back to lean again at 4,000. So yeah, very interesting fueling curve. Right, got this one running. Unfortunately, the carburettor is not playing ball. So what that basically means is I'm getting variable fueling. So irrespective of what spring or needle I fit, the fueling's varying. And it's varying in the RPM range when it's doing it as well. So that carburettor needs to come off and actually have a look inside and see what's going on. Does actually mean I can't finish the tune today. Although the engine's running better, it's not perfect. So the owner knows that. So there's going to be no test drive for this one, because there's not much point. But in terms of showing people what can and can't be done, some engines can't be tuned, and this was one of them. Okay, so Tony's had all his tuning done. We've got 3 cars that were tuned and one that unfortunately had a carburettor fault. Obviously, I'm only come to you once this time because you own all 3 cars. So what's your experience?
Yeah, very good. Road tested 3 cars. Road tested 3 different cars. Well worth the time it took to talk the ACDodd into actually coming and turning up and doing a fantastic job. They drive like different cars, smooth as silk, bit more power, and obviously going to be sell me through the summer and winter and on.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, and it's funny you should say that because as you've already detected, I don't like coming out to twin carbs, especially when I don't know the background and history of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. Well, I got that. I got that loud and clear on the sales pitch early on. But luckily, you did come, and luckily, it wasn't as bad as all that. And we've got a plan for the future. We know what's happening now. We know where the cars are at, each car. And it should be plain sailing from now on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And that's the important thing is at least you know where they are. As you said there, we have a plan because they're not all perfect, and some of them need a little bit of work here and there. But the point is, you've got some cars at least you can drive and enjoy now, and then we've got something to do over the winter.
Yes. Yeah. My workload has just increased.
Okay, all right. Anyway, thanks for getting us down, Tony. Excellent cars, and it's a real pleasure to work on these, and obviously to be able to show them on YouTube. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming, and thanks for a job well done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, just to reiterate there, when it comes to coming out to tune twin carbs, if the carburetors are not in good condition, they can't always be tuned. So sometimes I have to make compromises, which I did there on a couple of Tony's cars. Not that that was any detriment. It's just the fact is that if the carbs are in rebuilt condition and they're all working properly, you can actually get them to a high level of tune, and they'll stay in tune longer. Anyway, as ever, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.